Our minds carry echoes of our ancestors' experiences. The collective unconscious, a reservoir of ancestral wisdom and patterns, can fracture our modern identity. This video explores the tension between inherited archetypes and contemporary self-awareness. The collective unconscious can be a double-edged sword. While it offers a deep well of inherited wisdom, it can also trap us in patterns that no longer serve us. The Jungian concept of archetypes, while insightful, can lead to a rigid understanding of human behavior. For instance, the archetype of the hero can pressure individuals to conform to a specific narrative of success, stifling personal growth. This tension is further complicated by modern society's emphasis on individualism, which can clash with the collective unconscious's emphasis on shared patterns. The challenge lies in navigating this balance, recognizing the value of inherited wisdom without being bound by lived reality. This is where the Christian mystic Meister Eckhart's teachings on detachment and inner freedom become relevant. Eckhart's emphasis on the soul's direct relationship with the divine, independent of inherited patterns, offers a path to transcend the limitations of the collective unconscious. Mortality serves as a profound teacher, stripping away the layers of the ego and revealing the deeper truths of the collective unconscious. In the tradition of Sufism, death is seen as a gateway to enlightenment. The Sufi poet Rumi writes, "Why do you stay in this small house of self? Come, take the vast step of letting go." This perspective aligns with modern psychological research, which suggests that confronting mortality can lead to a deeper sense of interconnectedness and a more authentic self. The practice of memento mori, reflecting on death, can help individuals break free from the constraints of the collective unconscious and embrace a more authentic path. This practice encourages a shift from the inherited patterns of the collective unconscious to a more personal and authentic understanding of one's place in the world. Examining Unveiling the Collective Unconscious, the mechanism exposes a gap between conceptual agreement and lived execution under social pressure. Zen monastic training offers useful contrast because it linked spiritual maturity to repeatable discipline in conflict, fatigue, and ambiguity. That gap appears in ordinary environments. At the end of a long day, a difficult tone appears in a conversation, and uncertainty is treated as immediate threat. The bottleneck is usually attentional capture under social threat, which recycles the same interpretation loop and blocks incoming evidence. A durable response sequence is empirical, rather than aspirational. Name the trigger, verify what is directly observed versus inferred, and perform one action that increases relational stability. Repeated consistently, this approach displaces performance with embodied decision-making that others can observe and verify. Can we measure progress by repair quality rather than by self-description? Examining Unveiling the Collective Unconscious, the body as text can be treated as a systems problem inside the person rather than a language problem. In early desert monastic reflection, teachers emphasized implementation fidelity. The same principle must survive pressure, conflict, and social friction without softening. A practical example clarifies the requirement. In a routine moment, an unanswered text leaves room for interpretation, and the mind reads criticism before context is available. Under load, ruminative looping under uncertainty dominates and converts open attention into predictable self-justification. The operational correction is specific. Pause long enough to reduce physiological reactivity, describe the current observable signal without embellishment, and execute one action that repairs trust rather than defends position. Outcomes register across relationships and work decisions, not in private reflection alone. What happens when we name the defense before we justify our response? Examining Unveiling the Collective Unconscious, human reality gains traction when it moves from philosophy into repeated behavioral experiment. In Taoist contemplative tradition, Practitioners evaluated development by consistency of response across high-stakes situations, not by quality of articulation during calm intervals. A familiar setting demonstrates why this matters. In a routine moment, a social comment lands more sharply than expected, and urgency quickly turns into a personal story. The hidden architecture of that moment is identity fusion with a preferred self-story, narrowing available responses before deliberate thought can engage. Interrupting that sequence requires precision. Register the first signal before the narrative solidifies. Separate the observable fact from the interpretation layered on top, and substitute one response with lower conflict cost, verified over multiple recurrences. This shift shows up as shortened repair time and fewer escalation cycles. Where does control end and honest attention begin? How do we navigate the tension between inherited wisdom and contemporary identity without losing ourselves in the process?